all of those things are the opposite to yoga in terms of what they take you outside of yourself. They're focusing on things that, like even modeling as a career. So you walk into a casting and they've asked you to be there based solely on how you look and the size that you are.
The world of modeling that took up such a big part of your life, and you were so successful within that space. What was it like to be crowned Miss England?
If motherhood, parenthood was a job description, like if you wrote down all of the things that are required, or what I believe are required, it's just not a contract I'm to be signing.
Coming from the world of beauty pageants and having had a lot of success within that space, started training people, physical activity. Eventually, this led her on a path of yoga.
Yeah.
When did you decide that you wanted to start donating your eggs? How did that happen for you?
My ex-husband was very supportive of what I'm doing. It wasn't like he was going to suddenly be inspired to go and donate his sperm. He was too busy having sex with my ex-best friends. Dun, dun, dun.
Charlotte Holmes.
Hi.
We finally get to sit here and talk on camera.
We've been speaking about it for a while.
I'm so pleased that you're here, that I have this opportunity to present Charlotte Holmes to you all. Charlotte's had such an interesting, colorful, and full life. Was a very successful person in many ways, both academically, but certainly in the field of athletics. And then went on to compete for Miss England and was crowned Miss England
In 2012.
in 2012. 12 years ago.
It's a different lifetime.
Different lifetime. And coming from the world of beauty pageants and having had a lot of success within that space, eventually this led her on a path of yoga. You had a very advanced physical practice in the form of the asanas, and this translated into a spiritual practice further down the road. You're also such an incredible and powerful voice for women in the UK and beyond. So welcome.
Thanks.
Into this space.
Thanks, friend.
I'd like to talk about your experience as a model. What was it like to be crowned Miss England?
Honestly, the modelling days and the pageant days in particular feel like a different lifetime. And I still model very occasionally, but the modelling and the pageants for me feel very different because modelling was my career. It's what I did from when I left school at 19. I moved to London with modelling. The pageants came as a kind of spin-off from that. And how did I even get involved? I don't know. I think mum probably entered me into some sort of competition or some silly thing like that. But there was an altruistic element that I was drawn to, and I ended up competing at Miss Cornwall, because the charity that was the Miss Cornwall chosen charity was the RNLI, which is the Lifeboat Association. And I grew up sailing when I was younger. I grew up in Cornwall. And so it was a charity. The
Lifeboat Association?
Yeah. So
what is the Lifeboat Association?
The lifeboats that go out to sea to save people that are
in trouble.
People in trouble. Yeah, and it's all donation based. So the charity was close to my heart. They were like, oh, you model, and we're doing this thing that's called Miss Cornwall. And my mum was like, you should do this thing. And I was like, what's a pageant? And I had this interpretation of pageants that it was all tits and teeth, so to speak. I didn't really understand the altruistic, the sort of charity element, and yeah, did a bit of reading into it, and did Miss Cornwall for a bit of fun, and won, and then went to Miss England, and I didn't win that year.
Really?
I went to Miss England and I competed, and I didn't win that year. No. But I had an amazing time. Met 59, the 60 girls that come to the final of Miss England. I met 59 other incredible women. And I really surprised myself. I had this expectation. There's a lesson there, right? But I had this expectation of how they would be, foolishly, because I was putting myself there as well. But anyway, I got there and I just met these incredible women. Lawyers and doctors and girls that weren't going to university and models and girls that had dropped out of school, but vast sort of backgrounds. And these girls were all beautiful women.
There's this impression that many people carry around, that the dumb blonde. You're in a beauty pageant and it's just about your looks, and
exactly.
you rehearse for this question of how you're going to save the world, and you come up with some
and
generic...
it's tainted with that, which is a shame, because It's a beautiful organisation that's all stemmed from a charity. So the Miss World charity is called Beauty with a Purpose, and the whole essence of it is every year they focus in on helping a particular cause in a particular space, and it changes from year to year. And that trickles down through the different country pageants. So Miss England does the same thing, and then into the nationals or the regionals. So Miss Cornwall. So all of these girls competing, but also raising money and awareness for these different charities, and then all filtering up through to the national pageant and then the international pageant. So cut to 2 years later, and I eventually win Miss England. I wasn't giving up. Won Miss England when I was 24.
Wow, so young.
And interestingly, so young, but interestingly, the oldest you can be in a Miss competition.
24?
Yeah. The eldest you can be at Miss World is 24. So
why is that?
Just the rules they have. I guess they have to cut it off at some point.
Mm.
So I won and went to China and spent 6 weeks touring around China and there were 120 countries competing that year. And so I made 119 friends from all over the world. And again, they were just this whole new level up of amazing women, like incredible women.
Doing so many different things in their lives, no?
And you do these things, and it's a year out of your life. You win the national title, and then you take that title on for a year, and you represent the country at different things, and you go to different events, and you travel, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful experience to raise awareness for the charity you're working for and with, and the different charities you're working for and with. And in that, you just meet amazing people. But yeah, the pageant itself at the Miss World final just met all these fantastic women. Who I'm still in touch with, many of them, like many of the girls that I competed with that year. And that's the interesting thing, is like, it's a competition, and it is, but it's really not. You spend 6 weeks just having a real blast, like getting to go around China and Inner Mongolia. Our actual the final event was held in Inner Mongolia. Like, what? I'd have never gone to Inner Mongolia, probably.
I didn't realize that they had these competitions happening all over the world.
All over. Yeah. So it's a part of my life that I look back on with fondness and lightness and love, because it was beautiful. It was just beautiful. It was really beautiful.
What did you learn, or what surprised you when you were competing in that space?
It just made me really realize that actually, like, we're all the same. We're all just trying our best. All of these girls are just not really sure. We're in our early 20s, and we're just kind of trying to be successful. We want to be successful. There's that essence of like needing to do things, and the energy of like wanting to achieve in whichever way that looks at that age. And I think for me, it was the realization that actually, like, we're all just doing that, and it's okay to just be where you're at. And I was never going to win Miss World. I didn't go to the Miss World competition. Luckily, at 24, I was one of the oldest there. There were other 24-year-olds, but there were also sort of 18, 19-year-olds there. And I didn't go to the competition in China thinking I'm going to win this. I went there thinking I'm going to spend 6 weeks having an amazing time, which I did.
Wow. You step out of that being a different person?
Absolutely, of course, yeah. Because it's just incredible. The organisation that goes into an event like that, you can imagine, is 6 weeks of touring in a country. It's just vast numbers of people come together to put this on. Yeah, it humbled me and made me very grateful.
You wouldn't think that humbling
I know.
is
And perhaps not for everyone. Not everyone had that same experience. And there were some girls that were a lot younger and more hungry, and perhaps there's an element of competitiveness and lots of the sort of South American countries and different parts of the world, they take these things very seriously. And it wasn't that I didn't take it seriously, but in England it's not as popular or well known, or there's a lack of understanding, there's a taboo around it. So I went, my mum and dad were excited, but no one else really was too bothered. Whereas some of these girls have immense pressure from their entire countries.
To perform.
Like Venezuela, this poor girl was just constantly stressed. So I was also, grateful for where I was from. It's just a real humbling of being like, wow, I'm so privileged to get to experience this at the age I'm at, and have this experience and walk away from it feeling like, wow, that was great, and then move on with my life.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Some of the girls that you've kept in touch with, were they able to come from that place and leave with just this magnificent experience regardless of the results, or has this...
Yeah, I think so. I think most of them do. And even the ones that really hope and think they might win or place top 3 and then don't, you know, they still go back to their countries as Miss Venezuela. And that in itself is such a huge accolade that actually for many of them, the rest of their lives are laid out in terms of, So I think, you know, it's just different expectations for them, and then that unravels differently when you get home. But I didn't come back thinking, I'm going to be Miss England 2012 forever. I'm Miss England 2012 for 2012, and then I'm going to give it to someone else.
Is this something you recommend to young girls?
It's not, and not because I didn't have an amazing time, I did. And if it's something that's really calling and you think, oh my God, I really want to do it, then yeah, I'd say I had a great time. But it's not something I would go out of my way to recommend, like I would breath work or meditation or something else. You know, the thing with pageants and the thing with modeling, all of those things are the opposite to yoga in terms of what they take you outside of yourself. They're focusing on things that, like even modeling as a career, so you walk into a casting and they've asked you to be there based solely on how you look and the size that you are. So you're completely identified with your physical form. Mm-hmm. And girls it ruins not just girls, it ruins people. See many friends
to that.
Struggle, because they're so heavily identified in their career, and how they make money is so heavily identified with how they look, and they're not practiced enough and don't have that deeper awareness of self, and it's crippling and terribly sad. And you see all sorts of eating disorders and mental disorders and breakdowns and relationships break down, like often. Like a lot of my friends from London.
What supported you along the way? I mean,
yoga.
Were you just yoga, really?
Yeah. I started practicing when I moved to London at 19 to model, didn't go to uni. And I danced from a very young age. Dance was one of my loves. Being in the water, surfing or sailing, and then dance. I just loved dancing. And I think the creative expression of movement is what translated quite nicely into the asana element of yoga. Mm-hmm. But when I moved to London, dance lessons were really expensive. This is a few years ago now. Really expensive. Yoga lessons at the time, then, yoga wasn't as popular in the West, like in London then. It was like you could do a yoga class, but no one really cared. Were cheaper. So I was like, I'm just going to go to this vinyasa class because I can move my body in a semi-creative way. I'm connected to my breath and it feels good. And so I started practicing at, 19, 20, and got into a regular practice, which kind of carried me through my modeling career and the whole of my 20s when I was living that fast-paced, traveling a lot with modeling, clubbing. I drank alcohol at that time. Like I was doing that, and I think the yoga, and it was just asana and breath mainly, grounded me enough to see me through that. And I don't think I really honestly picked up a meditation practice until later in my 20s. Not a solid one anyway. Mm-hmm. You know, I'd sit for a little while pre and post class. But it wasn't until I then really started to meditate that, you just reflect. It's time, right, to reflect and time to be with yourself.
I think there's this element of humility that could be planted in you within the house, right? Culturally, being nurtured in that sense. And some people have that privilege when they're young. Some people are naturally more like that. You're about to be humbled.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you kind of start from, but eventually you need to come on into the world from that space of humility.
Yeah.
Did you always not think you would want children?
I've never wanted children.
You've never wanted children?
No. It's never been a calling. I've never had the...
For a lot of people, especially when we're younger, we can never imagine having children on our own, but it's something that kind of, I think when you get into your 30s, it's a common theme amongst both men and women, that they want to have a family. And I think for women especially, there's this biological clock that's ticking that adds a lot of pressure to that, right? And that hasn't been your experience.
No.
You were so clear.
And I feel so blessed to be in that space, because again, I've realized in my 30s, I've got so many friends that are trying for babies, can't have babies, are struggling with IVF and don't have a partner, so they're going into egg freezing because they're panicking about, and there's not many of us that are very clear that we don't want And there's actually not many of us, I don't think, that are very clear that we do want. I think there's a big portion of middle ground women that are just like, I don't really know. So I'll freeze my eggs just in case. Or I'll have a baby I'll just have one because it's what, you know. And I've always just been in I've just not. If motherhood, parenthood was a job description, like if you wrote down all of the things that are required, or what I believe are required, it's just not a contract I'd be signing. It's an admirable job. It's one of the most probably the most admirable job, being a parent, bringing a human soul, nurturing a human soul into existence and then raising it. What? Incredible. Absolutely no, thank you. No way.
For no reason, no apparent reason.
No apparent reason other than I know it's a no.
And so you've done...
There's other ways I want to spend my time. There's other things that I want to do, and I recognize that job is a big one.
It is.
The biggest one.
It is. Potentially, yeah. It is a
don't,
contract that you sign on to for the rest of your life.
I'm at this point in time, I'm not interested. I'm also not foolish enough, you know, I've been married and divorced at this age, and I'm not foolish enough to think that things don't suddenly change. So I'm not here saying I will never want children, because I think that's a foolish sentence. But I have never wanted them. And right now, in this moment, I'm very content without.
It's so nice to have that certainty.
Yeah.
And to just come from that place in life.
Yeah.
When did you decide that you wanted to start donating your eggs? How did that happen for you?
So my sister and I are both IVF babies. My parents had lots of trouble for various reasons, which I won't go into because it's long, but they tried for 8 years, and eventually, and this is 36 years ago now, eventually they came to a doctor called Professor Robert Winston. He's one of the leading pioneers of IVF back in the day, and they were lucky enough to start treatment with him. And anyway, they had me, they had my sister. And I think I've always recognized, like I've always known mum and dad, it's a cute thing that mum and dad have always been like, oh, you're a miracle baby. And I never really understood what that was. I was like, oh, you're just being cute. And as much as I recognize that every child is a miracle baby, when you naturally get pregnant, I've had lots of friends that have naturally got pregnant and not really thought about it, or accidentally got pregnant. There's a less of a waiting on when someone really wants a child and there's all these blockages in the way. There's things that are like, this isn't happening, your body can't do it. And so to have to keep pushing and go through all of these things, it is a miracle to get to that point where it actually works, and they've taken an egg and a sperm outside of the body and they've put it together and then re-implanted it into a situation, and then the body's growing this baby. Yeah, wow, it's a miracle. So I get it now, and I recognize it because so many of my friends have been going through IVF, have been going through egg freezing, and I think just into my 30s, it was just around me a lot more. It was in my field a lot more. And so rather than feeling the pressure of, oh, I want kids of my own, what I ended up feeling was, well, I don't want kids of my own, but how is my situation? Like, am I even capable of having children? Like, am I healthy? Like, are there even eggs there? You know, I bleed, I have a period every month, but like, that doesn't mean that I know that I'm healthy. So it was a curiosity thing.
Okay.
Alongside my granny dying at 102, and the very last thing that she said to me, oh God, I can't believe it's the last thing she said to me. I was married at the time, and the last thing she said to me was, please make sure you have babies. It was like, have babies.
It's such a interesting human need, right? And I think I have a grandmother, and that's one of her priorities.
I think it is, right?
To get me married and to get me to produce great-grandchildren.
I get it.
For her. It's a continuation of a lineage.
And I understand. I understand, you know, 102, that woman was, as far as she's concerned, she was put on this earth to reproduce. She was one of 10 siblings. She gave birth to my dad and my auntie, and my auntie had 5 kids, and they all have kids. So when my granny died, she had 2 children, 5, 6 grandchildren, 17 great-grandchildren,
wow,
and a great-great-grandchild.
Wow.
So to her, it was just like, this is what happens.
Yeah.
I get it, it's a generational thing. And I just never had the heart to tell her that I wasn't going to do it. I was never honest with her. Because I think it would have really would have broken her heart. Like, I genuinely think it would have been, it's just lack of understanding there.
Some things that people don't understand, you don't have
necessary.
to.
Yeah, so anyway, that happened alongside this curiosity and this timing, and she passed, and Instagram provided a London egg freezing ad on my Instagram. I mean, again, like, the divine drops into Instagram, like, is that a thing? And I was like, egg freezing? And I was like, hang on, egg freezing, egg donation, that's the same thing. And I just clicked on the London Egg Bank and I started looking anyway. And then the ball started rolling, and I just was curious and sent them an email and was like, how does this work? And they're obviously desperate for egg donors because it's a sperm donor versus egg donor. Sperm donor is relatively easy. Egg donor is a much more intrusive process. So they're short of egg donors. So the minute you email, they're right on you. They're like phone calling, like, yeah, we'd love to talk to you, and da 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 da.
How many eggs do you donate when you donate eggs?
It very much depends.
I don't know anything about how this works.
It depends on the state of the person donating, the health of the person donating, and how many eggs you have. So from the moment you're born, a woman has all of the eggs she'll ever have there. They're there.
Really?
And
Is
so
it the same amount?
No, hugely
greatly?
varied.
Really?
And obviously, as you grow, and dependent on, I guess, various stresses in your life, lifestyle, job, the way that you live your life, the choices that you make, and I think a lot of it's the stress on your body, your egg count can drop, your diet and all of these things have an effect on it. Your egg count can drop off quite dramatically as you drop into your 30s.
Is it through your period that you're losing?
Yeah, so naturally every month, one, maybe two, normally one, leave the system. Okay. And that's what the bleed is. So unless the egg is fertilized, you bleed. And
how many eggs are there on average when you're born?
I don't know. I don't know when you're born. I don't know. But what I do know is from going through the process of donating my eggs, it's obviously they test you. They do all these tests and they look at your ovaries and they look at the follicles as you're going through your cycle to see what's happening. And dependent on the amount of follicles within each of the ovaries, every time you have a bleed or just before you bleed, they can sort of tell how many eggs are going to drop into those follicles, and therefore they can tell the health and the amount. So someone going through IVF because they're getting to a point where they can't naturally have children may have anything from 1 to 10 follicles between both ovaries. Mm-hmm. When I had my scans, they measured 50, like 25 on each side. So that's someone of a similar age, and that's got nothing to do with anything other than just we're two different people, and that's what we've been given, unless you take into account lifestyle and all these other things. But we don't know enough about it. There's not enough research on women's health to say if you don't drink alcohol, you solely meditate and do yoga and physical exercise and eat really well for the entirety of your life, your egg count will be perfect. I don't think it's as simple as that. I think genetics will play into it and all sorts of different things. But essentially, by the time you're ready to have children, you don't know where you're at. It's like, okay, I could have loads of eggs, I could have none. And so it was a really beautiful process to go through. And once I realized there was stuff there that was happening, they were like, well, yeah, like you could donate and potentially help up to 10 different families. So in the UK, there's a law, after 10 families produce children of your eggs, they can't take any more. So I donated. I don't know
how they came up with that, but it's you don't want to have a village of Charlottetown.
No, I guess not. Charlottetown's a place, right?
Is that some other Charlotte?
Yeah, so it's not me.
Okay.
Not yet. Oh, imagine. Anyway, so I donated 39 in the first round to the London Egg Bank. And that's literally like a sperm bank, but an egg bank. And so anonymously, they then get put into a library, and people that need an egg donor would go to the egg bank.
Is it a one-time process, or is it you have to go there many times to be able to donate? Yes.
So you go, it's all done around your cycle. So it's about a 2-week period that you're in and out of the clinic doing various scans, injections of hormones, and then eventually at the end of that, the extraction of the eggs. Yeah, so it's about 2 weeks.
And then the number of eggs they can extract?
Depends on the number of eggs that are available. So as you're injecting the hormones across that period of time, one of the hormones is telling the follicles within the ovaries to grow. The other hormone is telling the eggs not to drop into the follicle sacs, so that by the end of the 2 weeks, you've got as many follicles as can be produced within your ovaries. They max out on that, and then you take another injection that basically tells the body to go back to normal. The body then goes, oh my goodness, we've got all of these follicles that should have eggs in, which is the natural process is a follicle would widen, an egg would drop in, it would go down the fallopian tubes, it wouldn't get fertilized, and then you'd bleed out. So what happens is this reset injection, essentially the body goes, wow, there's 39 follicles here. Shit, we best put some eggs in them. And you drop eggs into hopefully all the follicles. But then obviously what you don't want to happen is all 39 eggs to release down the follicles. So there's about a 72-hour window, and they then do the operation to take the eggs straight out of the follicle sacs before they drop down the fallopian tubes.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's
a miracle.
Yeah.
That's my point. It's like incredible.
The science behind it.
Incredible. And that's the same process for IVF. So if I was going through IVF myself, I would go through the same process of injecting, of extraction, but by virtue of the fact, if I'm having IVF, I won't have as many follicle sacs as that, probably.
Are you going through mood swings? Are you going through...
Yeah.
Is it chemically induced, or the process must be difficult in itself?
You're injecting twice a day. You're injecting hormones twice a day. So that process in itself, plus you're literally injecting hormones, which are making your hormones do this. Yeah, it's a process.
Wow. It's a big endeavor.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess it is a big endeavor, and it was something I was very, I was very aware of what I was doing before I went into it. It wasn't like I blindly went in like, ooh, yay. It's different in the States. In the States, you can earn huge amounts of money for donating your eggs. In the UK, you don't get paid, so it's a different. You find there's girls, read stories about women that go into egg donation to pay for their universities and all sorts of things because you can earn big amounts of money. But that for me is just a whole other conversation. We won't even go there. But yeah, in the UK, you don't get paid. So yes, it's a big endeavor to take on, but it just felt like a very full circle moment for me. It was like, you were an IVF baby. You don't want children, and yet here you are with all of these. You're so fertile. You've got all these eggs and the capacity to donate them. Yeah, of course I'm going to donate them. It wasn't really it didn't feel like a big decision. It just felt like a full circle moment, and it was good. And
so for women that are considering this
egg donation,
yes, what do they do? Do they just look up the London egg donation bank?
It depends if you want to donate to an egg bank or if you want to donate to a specific couple.
What's the difference?
An egg bank, it's an anonymous donor. So the people going to the egg bank can't look for Charlotte Holmes' eggs.
Okay.
Versus a couple. So this year I donated again to a specific couple who approached me and they said, listen, we 5 years ago had our son. He died within 12 hours of being earthside, and we've been trying ever since. And we can't get pregnant. And we're now at the point where we need an egg donor, but we don't want to go to a bank. We want to know the person that's donating the eggs. And that's just preference, right? So I guess it just depends if you, as an egg donor, want to be anonymous or if you're happy to give to a person that wants to know the person. And that's just, again, it's just personal preference.
You still go through a process where you're working with people when there's a couple involved, and I'm thinking that there's an incredible amount of guidance that would be needed and guidelines as well. Yeah. Since all the three of you know each other, and there would be some form of attachment potentially.
I mean, there isn't for me. There wasn't for me. I don't feel that way, and I think that's why it made the whole process the way that it was. I think there's a lot of counselling that you go through as a threesome, just by yourself. There's a lot of stuff that happens alongside all the exact tests that you have to donate to the egg bank, obviously from a physiological perspective.
So there is a process.
Yeah.
A counseling process. Yeah. There are.
Yeah. And
there has to be a guide, an external guide.
Yeah, because it's know these people now. You go through a process with them, and they're invested in it, right? They're invested in you going through that. Whereas before I was donating to the egg bank and there's no tangible real life person depending on me. I'm just doing this thing kind of for me. It's almost a selfish thing. It's like, oh, this feels good for me, so I'm going to do it. Yeah. Whereas this time around it was like, oh no, there's a whole couple here that have been through this agony and that really, really want a baby. And I'd love to just be able to give them the baby, but what I can do is give them my eggs. But then you're going through that, same hormonal injections, all of the stuff. They're doing the...
Oh, so you do the process all over again. You can't go back to the bank.
No. So those have got, they belong to the London Egg Bank now.
Okay.
So yeah, they're theirs, and I won't ever see them again. They just ring me if a child gets born.
Really?
Like, hey, a child came with your eggs. And you're
Has that happened?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so, are there any expectations with this? Hopefully, the parents to be.
I mean, the relationship this year has evolved, and we've had obviously had to have very open conversations about how we feel, and they wanted to know the donor because that's how they felt about it. And I didn't, quiz them too much on it. I was like, well, if you want to know the person, and I'm willing to do that, that's enough for me. And they always said that they want to keep the conversation open in terms of if and when, hopefully when the baby is born, then we can continue to have an open conversation. And if it works out that there's a situation where I have a relationship with that child, great. If there's not, great. Okay. I'm not attached. I don't
completely surrendered to.
I'm good.
Whatever they think is best.
Yeah, exactly.
Ultimately.
I want them to get pregnant. I want them to. They're actually now. They had a new embryo in last Tuesday, so she should be having a scan in like 3 days. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible. And how is it? Are you in touch with men that are sperm donors? And have you?
No.
No. It's about that other side.
No, I haven't. And my understanding is just from a physiological perspective, it's a much easier
definitely
process.
It happens when we're asleep most of the time.
Yeah.
Especially as young men. It's
yeah. So I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs.
Can be an issue. Very valuable, right, when you collect and all this. But I think you have to be in a clinic.
I think it only works in a clinic. Yeah.
The rest of it is just discarded.
You can't just take a sheet to the clinic. Hey, can I? You also don't get paid in England for that.
It'd be good to have that career in the US. Just
if you're in the US,
just move to the US when you're 16 years old and
take your crusty sheets.
just sleep at a collection bank.
Wow. So I don't know how it works for sperm donors. I haven't investigated. And it was something when I was donating the first time around, my ex-husband was very supportive of what I was doing, but wasn't like he was going to suddenly be inspired to go and donate his sperm. I mean, he was too busy having sex with my ex-best friend, so what did he do?
What?
Dun, dun, dun. That's when you put that sound effect in.
So you were married for how long?
That's mean. It's not mean, it's the truth, but it's also it's an unfair representation of him, because actually he's a really beautiful man. He's a wonderful guy. Our relationship just wasn't meant to last forever, and I'm so glad that I married him. I'm so glad that we had the wedding that we did. My granny and my parents got to see that, and it was beautiful. And we had an amazing relationship. We had so much fun.
How long were you married for before?
Well, we applied for divorce. Applied for divorce on our 2-year wedding anniversary.
2-year wedding anniversary.
Yeah, so it was about a year and a bit after we got married.
Have you emotionally moved on from that?
Yeah.
Have you forgiven him?
Yeah, I mean, I think there was honestly by the time, goodness, so much time seems to have passed by now, but it happened. The mistake, the affair, the cheating, whatever you want to call it. The event happened. Then there was not truth about it. There was a lie formed about it. And then him and I lived within that lie alongside the best friend. And, we all just continued to live that lie for a good 6 months, during which our relationship just fell apart. Obviously. You can't carry that. You've got to be a very sick person to be able to carry that around without it showing at all. And it showed on him. He couldn't handle it.
There's a secret in the silence and suspense around the whole time, isn't there?
It ate him up. It really, our relationship just fell apart. And I didn't know why, of course, and he wasn't telling me why, but there was such a disconnect. And so by the time I found out what had happened, honestly, I was relieved. I was like, oh.
Because you knew what was up.
Well, I knew the truth, and I knew that it wasn't me, because by that point I was like, what? I'm in this marriage. I'm married to this man who I really, really adore, and I'm committed because I've married him. but I'm miserable. And I don't understand why we're not talking. It was such a horrible space to be in that, yeah, by the time I found out, there was such relief.
Now, this is not about the person that you were married to, but
No.
let's say there was a very early opening up about it, or an admission of some sorts. Is that something that you think you would have accepted?
Oh, who knows? But it would have been a very different story to how it was. Yeah, of course. You know, people make mistakes all the time. Human nature.
That's good.
We mess up all the time, right? It's part of growing. It's part of like growing as a human. You have to make mistakes. Sure, it was a pretty big mistake. Like, it was a pretty chunky one.
Yeah. More than one time, there's intentionality. So
it's a couple of times. Anyway,
nobody.
How do you come to me with a situation, with any situation, saying, hey, listen, I really messed up here. And he came to me and us with our relationship and trusted our relationship with the weight of what he'd done. Of course, it would have been a different outcome. I'm not suggesting we would have stayed together. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you're still trusting the relationship. But what he did was he took that away from me. He didn't even give me a chance to, it was just removed from my sort of field. It was just like, there was no option. And what was left was this, me trying to cling on to the remnants of a marriage and a man that I thought I knew that was becoming someone I didn't know, all because of something that he was holding on to. And that's not a relationship I want to be in. It's not what a relationship is for me. It's, you know, there's me and there's you and then there's the relationship. And if you're not willing to put into this relationship all of the trust that is there, like I am, it can't work. So yeah, by the time I found out, it was a lot of relief. And
must have been difficult.
There was deep grief. But because there was such love there, we had so much fun. We had such a fun relationship. Yeah. Wow. I was at the end of Rahu and we were like traveling and just going to parties.
We're going to have an astrological Jyotish session to explain to people what Rahu is.
Yeah.
What is Rahu? I mean, still don't understand.
I don't know. I also haven't done Jyotish, but all I do know is from my readings that period of my life can be turbulent. And the very end of it in particular can be like an extra kind of slap around the face. That's how Anand described it to me. He said it can be like an extra big hit. And that was what that event was, right? It was this big like redirection of like, bam, no, you know, realign yourself. And so that's what it was.
It's so odd that there are these planetary effects on us. You know, we're going through all of these different experiences and emotions and energies in life.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're within our making and sometimes they're not. It's just this paradox that I don't understand, obviously.
Maybe we're not meant to understand it.
Maybe not. But we do have an upcoming interview with Anne-Marie Brown.
She will be able to tell you all the things that you need to know on the planet.
I'm going to grill her on this topic.
Yeah. And it's the thing, I don't know the ins and outs. Like, I don't know. But that was the period of my life. And it's just interesting. And I didn't have this conversation with Anand until I had then come to India, having found out about the affair, having gone through the grief, sitting down with him 2 months later, having gone through intense training, and then sat down with him. And it was just hilarious. He's so kind of a bit blasé, like, oh yeah, it's the end of Rahu. Like, of course. Sorry, what? No, I want you to allow me to be sad. Like, how dare you? My grief is real. And he was just like, end of Rahu, you're fine. He's like, you got a few more months. And the timing, it was crazy, the timing. So this was December last year. My Rahu was finishing October this year. So he was like, you're going to have, there's going to be some more movement. It's just finishing off. Like, it's all wrapping up. And of course, I had to finish in India. I had to go back to the UK. I had to sell my house, get divorced, move all of my belongings in my life that had been in London for 15 years, back to my parents' house in Cornwall. There was so much movement.
Massive shift.
Huge shifts in my personal life, in my friendships, in my family life, in where I was living, in how my career took a real sort of, it was very obvious. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to share yoga more broadly. It's why I was coming to do my 300 hours here. But that whole period after I left India and had done the trainings here, it was all of this shifting like a Rubik's Cube, kind of coming all to the right colours on the right sides. And then, Rahu finished. My divorce came through. my niece was born, and I flew to India.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I flew to India, and I stepped into Jupiter, which apparently is a really good time. So let's see.
Oh, fun.
Apparently
That's
so.
what we're doing here.
Here we are.
There's this idea that immense pain can only come from immense love. That if you do not love somebody, they cannot really hurt you. And that the more love and intimacy and knowing there is of a person, the more the potential for pain is there. And so you were clearly in love. I mean, you married a beautiful man, as you say, and got incredibly hurt. So you must have been through a period of immense pain. Have you gone back to love after that? Have you forgiven?
I've forgiven. There was not, honestly, I don't know if there was ever really anything to forgive. I think I was just relieved, and I knew in the moment that I found out what had happened that the difference in him and I, and where it really had gone wrong, was we had love for each other. There was no doubt that he loved me. He absolutely adored me. And I adored him. But the difference was that I loved myself, and he didn't have any relationship with himself. Not at all. He held me up here and himself down here the entire time. And I came at that relationship here. I was like, I love you, but I love me. I'm worthy of being in this relationship, and we're in this relationship together. And that was a big imbalance from his side, and that was what was wrong. And that's the thing, like this whole like immense love, but there has to also be an immense love and connection to self, and to like that inner alignment. And the deeper that relationship grows, the more space there is to love other people, to love everything else, to love the rest of this existence.
So were you hurt or not?
There was pain, yeah, because there was love there. Literally what you just said, yes. I was deeply hurt. It was like, oh gosh, like, wow, the betrayal hurt and all of those things. There was pain. And
There must have been a sour taste in your mouth. Was there some hatred? Was there... No. Well, you're just an exceptional person.
I don't know.
Not everybody leaves a relationship without a strong grudge, especially out of a marriage at such a short marriage at such a young age.
There was nothing to hate him for. There was nothing to hate.
Was there anything to forgive?
I don't think so. I said to him when I left, I was like, I just really hope that you find, once you've dropped the shame and the guilt that you've carried around for the last 6 months, and you've come back to a sort of an even keel, I really, really hope that you can start to have a relationship with yourself and just be honest with yourself about how you're feeling, who you are, what you like, what you don't like.
I guess that's blanket advice for anybody. How about if you have been wronged or hurt in a relationship? I think you have
I was wronged and hurt, but my understanding was it was never about me. They didn't jump into bed together and go, right, let's really screw Charlotte over. Like, that wasn't what they were doing. It was mindless fun. It was never about me. And so the relief that I felt, it was almost, I almost let the whole thing go in that moment. And yes, the mind was saying this and this, and society was saying this and this, and certain friends were like, I'm gonna kill him.
Because your relationship, your marriage was out in the news when you got married. You were still, the news was still following you around, so to speak, as a former Miss England.
Yeah, and that's all just noise. None of that's real either, is it? I was always and again, I'm just so grateful for my practices and the connection to myself, because that got me through. And coming to Sattva and coming and doing the trainings and being held in this space with these people also was a huge part of, I mean, the fact that was right at the beginning when I found out. I was held within that grief so well, so beautifully, like, wow. I mean, where else do you want to land in that situation? How lucky was I? Really? And I knew that. The minute I walked down the hill here, and my best mate is waiting at the bottom of the hill like this, like, I'm fine. I'm all right.
So we keep going back to yoga. You've had a lifelong practice. How has that evolved since you've come to India? You didn't first learn yoga in India, did you?
Yes, I did. My first
You
training
did?
was, yeah, it was.
Where was it?
In Rishikesh.
In Rishikesh.
Yeah. Just I never quite made it to Sattva, but
Really?
you know, everything in its time. So yeah, I did my first training in Rishikesh with a school, an Ashtanga meditation school.
Okay.
So yeah, I did 200 hours in Ashtanga. And again, I was coming from a fitness, movement background, dance background. So the Ashtanga really served my practice. It was regimented. It was about, you know, it felt good in my physical. And yeah, I did my first training in that, and the love affair just continued. And I came back often to India to do trainings.
Amazing.
Yeah. And only in the last few years, actually, Sattva started popping up. Interestingly, I think it always does. I think it's one of those things. And then, yeah. And then here we are.
Here we are at the Sattva Yoga Academy at the foothills of the Himalayas, where we've met and we've done so many trainings and journeys and trips and
yeah, I mean,
together.
you know what? I'm just going to say this because I think it's really, I don't know if I told you. It's been so amazing and beautiful and just such a blessing to get to watch you go through the last year. It's been a year.
It's been a year
that we've known each other, and watching you in that year has been incredible. And we're a similar age, and so seeing a man having been through what I also went through, right? But seeing a guy of our age doing this work and really honestly, open-heartedly, with full spectrum inquiry going into it, I bow to you, my friend. Thank you, because it's just really inspiring. Honestly, it's great. We need more of you and your brother, please.
It's the collective, and you've always been so supportive, right?
And of course, that's what Sangha is, though. That's what this is. This is what this is.
It's coming in from the side, from behind, from wherever.
So nice.
Reminding me to be a child.
Yeah.
When I need to be.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the thing. The child wouldn't have held on to the divorce or the cheating or any of these things. They forget. Life moves on. Love moves on. What
was that quote that Jesus?
Which quote?
Is attributed for, I think, only through the eyes of a child can the kingdom of heaven be found.
Well, there you go.
That innocence.
Yeah, it is. It's that you don't. There's a lack of, I guess, as a child, a lack of realization of the gravitas of the size of everything. So you're kind of just oh, I'll play with this toy and then I'll move on to the next. Or,
you're free of the stories. They haven't yet made up your world.
They make up their own stories, and that's how nice is that? But that's what we have the capacity to do. We have that at our fingertips at all times, and we just condition ourselves to thinking otherwise. No, don't do that.
Thank you. It's an unfolding, and it's so awesome to be able to sit here and go through this detail with you. We've never had the opportunity to do this in this intimate setting, but also to be able to share it with so many others. And you've inspired people along the way for so many years. But I think that as you grow, you have so much more to offer, and you're doing that today. Of course, you're based half the year in India, and you're back in England for the rest of the time. And so how can people find you, and how can they be guided by you and learn from you and help themselves, really?
You can come and do a 200-hour training at Sattva Yoga Academy.
Because it's a good marketing
I'm now here. I'm now here. I'm not on commission either.
You're not on commission. No. I was just going to ask. If I get a commission, I'll promote it.
So I'm lucky enough to get to teach here for 6 months of the year. So I did that last year, and back here this year to do that, which is just, what a joy and a blessing. There aren't really words for it. I think that's the truth of it. It's a deeper.
It's an experience.
I'm going to cheapen it by putting words to it, but I'm so grateful to be here.
How is it training people online? I mean, do you get? Are there results to chase? And if so, do you see those results in the people that you work with?
Teaching people online I love, because it's an amazing way to connect to people that you perhaps wouldn't normally get to see. And obviously traveling a lot, being in India for 6 months of the year, I don't get to be, I'm not in one place. Living in London for 15 years and teaching there and getting to build up a community of people is also beautiful. I loved it so much. where I'm at in my life now with the movement, the online stuff is a really amazing way to have a virtual community. And for that virtual community, it's a really beautiful way for them to kind of escape, I guess, their day to day and the people that they normally see into this community of other people. And perhaps they can't come to India. You know, perhaps they can't come and do a training. So getting to experience the teachings in a setting where they're supported by people that are also having that experience is really lovely.
That's huge. Not everybody can leave their life, pack up their bags, and go to some country for some immersion, but there's a little bit that we can bring into our lives. And so are you doing things on a regular basis?
Yeah. So I've got a membership that I run online where there's a new class every week, and then I kind of regularly do 21-day kind of sadhanas that I run like virtually.
What's a sadhana?
So it's like a practice that you do the same thing every single day. So for 21 or for 40 days, I do it for 21 online. So I'll initiate them in a Zoom call.
Like taking your vitamins.
Like taking your vitamins. It's like brushing your teeth.
With an English accent.
Vitamins?
Vitamins.
With a T, vitamins.
So your sadhana is a spiritual or physical practice, or both?
It depends what I'm offering. So I've got one starting actually tonight. That's we're doing it's like a positive mind. So it's a Kriya set, breath and mantra, and it's such a nice way to get these teachings to people. Like we sing Gayatri mantra at the end of this practice that I'm doing for 5 minutes.
What's a Kriya set?
A varying. Okay, wow. How much time have we got?
30 seconds.
No.
Come on, we're doing marketing plugs here. What's
I know we are. A series of either breath, mantra.
30 seconds.
A combination of breath, mantra, movement techniques to invoke a certain energy or feeling within you. And it's something that actually is very specific to the person. So there'll be a general set of stuff that you can teach as a teacher. So the one tonight is a positive mind. So it's the intentionality is to do that within the group, within the practice. But the beauty about these practices is everyone will have a completely unique experience within that practice itself. And so some days it will feel one way and some days it will feel another, and hence the essence of doing it for 21 days to notice that journey as you go along and to see how the same thing can shift you completely day on day. Just really powerful energy work from a seated position online. So you can do it. Yeah, it's, again, great to be able to share in that way because there's such... Asana's beautiful and I love asana as a practice, but not without this stuff. It's useless without this stuff. Like Anand says, there's loads of other really good physical exercise, like you can go and lift weights. But the asana combined with all of this other stuff all together make for transformational practices and allow you to just deepen that connection to yourself.
How much time do you need to commit and for how long? 21 days, how long?
I mean, look, this one I'm doing is 30-minute practice for 21 days.
Wow. It's worth a try.
Sure. Yeah.
Cool.
And it's free.
It's free.
Forgot to mention that.
For the time being.
The membership isn't, but the online offering for that is free.
Okay. Great. Thank you for sharing so much. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
We're going to share a link to all of your offerings.
Thanks.
Upcoming offerings as well.
Yay.
And I look forward to talking to you again on camera. And if people have questions, please do shoot them over.
Amazing.
Charlotte. So appreciative.
Thank you.
Miss England.